Hello, ladies, gentlemen, whatever else you want to call yourself. We're back. And Matt, if you want to talk to the man about nukes, you are talking to the right guy with Nomad. He spits nukes.
I was not part of the nuclear program. Okay. I do work with radiation. I do understand the radiation effects, right? But when you're talking about a nuclear weapon, all right, just this is not where we were going to start the show, but this is what we're going to do right now.
By the way, just so you know, when I said you spit nukes, I didn't actually mean it by the work you do. I meant it with the fact that the information you give is like nuclear bombs going off. But
Yeah.
hey, you do
Oh,
you, man.
is that what
Yeah.
you're? Okay. The a nuclear weapon, all right, by itself produces a very intense multi-spectrum field of radiation. Okay, it's very intense. If you are close, all right, you can be irradiated to death. Right
Yeah.
now, in all honesty, however, you are likely dead anyway. All right, from the blast and the heat. Okay, so the if you are alive after a nuclear strike, okay, um, and you were close, but not close to where it killed you. If you they immediately get you out of the area and wash you down, most likely, I mean, wash the dust and dirt and everything else that has probably been irradiated, okay, off of you, you will most likely survive if you don't have burns or some other way of dealing with it. Okay.
Yep.
The radiation that people talk about, the way people talk about radiation, they don't understand what the dangers of it is. And the dangers of things like fallout and so forth is the fact not so much that the material it's in and of itself is going to kill you because it's floating in the air. It's because your body will take it in and won't get rid of it fast enough.
Yeah.
All right. So things like iodine. This is why they give iodine tablets. Iodine is something that your body generally doesn't ever gets enough of. So your body always wants it. All right. If you take iodine tablets, however, your body will absorb enough of that so it won't intake. All right. The radioactive iodine that's in the atmosphere. All right. Does it
Hmm.
make sense?
Yep.
And one of the areas of your body that wants iodine, right, is called the thyroid gland.
Hmm.
Okay, so how much radiation can you get? It also depends, quite frankly, on where they detonated the nuke. Okay, because an airburst detonated nuke is not going to, yeah, it's going to have a wider spread. Okay, um, and it will actually radiate more area. All right, but to be honest, that radiation is not going to suck up a lot of energy. All right, to cause the other elements around it to radiate. Make sense to you?
Oh yeah.
All right. So therefore, if you survive a nuke and the nuke blast and an airburst, it's very the fallout from something like that. All right, is for lack of a better term, minimal. Okay.
Can I tell you something that we was taught? This may give you a chuckle, and be prepared to actually pull this to pieces because I fully expect you to. If you're within, I think it was 500 meters, what you do is you lay as flat as humanly possible. Is on a ground burst. You cup your nuts and you sit with your mouth open, and there is a chance you'll actually survive because the blast will actually go over your head.
Well, okay.
No,
If you're
this.
within 500 yards of
Uh,
a nuke,
by the way, that is official training. Okay,
right?
hilarious. I know.
500 yards of a nuke, which is half a kilometer.
Hmm.
Right? So well, no, that's not even half a kilometer.
No,
That's not even a quarter mile.
no, it's depressing, isn't it?
Well, it's just over a quarter mile.
Yeah.
All right. If you're within a quarter mile of a nuke,
Hmm.
right? First of all, I'm impressed that you're still alive after the initial burst, because you
Yeah.
probably took a heavy enough dose of radiation to kill you right there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, with just the flash,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you see that flash, you are not going to be able to get to the ground soon enough. All right,
No, I
to
agree.
cup your balls or open your mouth or anything else.
No, I
Right,
agree with
because
that.
that blast wave is coming a lot faster, all right, than you think it is.
Yeah.
Right? And what's more is what people don't know is you have the effect of the initial blast wave going out,
And it
and
comes
then you
back
have
in.
the
Yeah.
vacuum wave coming back to suck you in. So,
Yeah.
okay. So if the initial blast wave flows over you, you'd better still be laying on the ground, because another wave is coming back to suck you up into the mushroom cloud.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can
Now,
fly. Yeah.
at a ground burst, because of the mushroom cloud and everything else, all right, it is actually sucking in this material and irradiating it. Okay, this is what makes ground bursts so much more dangerous. All right, from a fallout perspective. Okay, it actually will inhibit the actual blast radius, though. Okay, so from a nuke, to be honest, if you're alive after the nuke hits, the first thing you should do, all right, is make sure you wash yourself clean.
Yes.
All right, and keep yourself clean.
Yes.
As clean as possible. Exit the area. You don't want to be standing around in the area a lot either. I mean, obviously, right? But you want to clean yourself. You want to make sure that you are washed clean. And the reason for that is because of the fallout material itself. If it lays on your skin long enough, is going to damage your skin, and you'll get melanoma, you'll get leukemia, you'll get a lot of these other things. Now, in an initial airburst strike, if you get hit, it's very likely, all right, that a lot of your bone marrow has been damaged. This
Mm-hmm.
weakens your immune system. Okay, so there's a lot of ways to die from this, right? But if you continue to stay in that area, you're going to get it worse. Now, there's three main types of radiation. Okay, for people who don't understand this, you have alpha emitters, you have beta emitters, and you have gamma rays. Right now, the one that can do the most damage if it gets internally into you is an alpha particle. Okay.
One thing you should point out to Matt: no, standing there and catching gamma rays are not going to turn you big and green.
It's
And
not.
turn into the Hulk. I just want that said before he actually starts typing this, because something tells me he probably was.
An airburst relies on EMP and has to be low enough to be effective at a given magnetic tussle rating, right? High enough to maximize the effect of an EMP. It depends what you're trying to do with an EMP. The EMP effects that they talk about, all right, are real, okay,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not easy to predict, okay.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons for that has to do with the ionization of the atmosphere. Oh
Sorry.
shit! I'm like,
That says everything. I knew it. I knew he was typing it.
Yeah, cameras make you want to hold, however, they can make you quite skinny from vomiting. All right. All radiation sickness can make you sick from vomiting. All right. But if you're at the point where you're sick from vomiting and so forth, you're probably dying.
Yeah.
Okay. I hate to tell you this, but if you take enough radiation to where you're vomiting, but like I said, you can avoid a lot of this by making sure you're washed clean. Right? Clean yourself, wash yourself, take a shower, get the hell out of the area, keep taking showers to keep yourself clean. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And the effects will be minimized. There will still be effects. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Your body took a dose of radiation. All right. And it took it all at once. All right. Can you survive this? Yes. People forget most of the people that died, all right, after Hiroshima, after the bomb effects, right, that died of actual radiation sickness, died because they didn't wash. People that washed right away, right, immediately got themselves clean, most of them lived long lives. That's not saying you're not going to get cancer later on.
Fair.
Right. But the acute radiation sickness that you talk about, most of the acute radiation sickness that they witnessed was from people who they were there when the nuclear weapon went off, all right, but they didn't clean themselves immediately.
Hmm.
Right? So does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
Right. Unlike
Uh,
the movies, an EMP will not knock out most vehicles. However, it will knock out the gas stations. Possibly, it depends on a number of factors. All right. I mean, there's a lot to this. Like I said, the ionosphere and how high it is, and where you are in reference to it, how close, the material around it, everything's going to have an effect with that. So uh, it's not going to affect the EMP portion. It's not going to personally affect you. All right.
yeah.
If it does, you're already dead from everything else. Okay, you're already dead from the blast wave. You're already dead from the heat wave. Okay, it's already taken care of you. All right, so you
I'm
don't have to
actually
worry
going
about
to disagree with you there, Nomad. In all fairness, the EMP would probably take out Shirati. She is, after all, half cyborg.
it. Well, that's a separate issue. We're not
Fair
talking
point.
about cyborgs. All right, we ready to get started on this?
Yes, sir.
All right, let me go. Let me go over here to start sharing, and we're going to share this.
Hmm.
Share screen. Boom. Screen one. Okay.
Go.
Welcome to once again live map of what's going on in the Ukraine, and one of the things that they're terrified of, that the Ukrainians are terrified of, is down here in Odessa. They're expecting the Russians to at some point move into Odessa, all right, and try and take it. All right, now this would make military sense. I'm just talking from a military perspective for the Russians to do, simply because it would give them a direct linkage with this area, which is under their control as a peacekeeping mission.
Hmm.
Okay. The other reason is it's Odessa. Okay, there's a lot of freaking Russian speaking people here, that aren't quote unquote Ukrainian ethnically. Okay, that's I'm not trying to say that I'm supporting this. I'm just saying from a military perspective, that's why the Russians would do something like this. Right. This is also the last big port. All right, that exists in the Ukraine. All right, on the Black Sea.
Yeah.
Right. So from the perspective of choking off the lifeline of the Ukrainians, this is something that could happen. To be honest, I'm not concerned about this. If I was the Ukrainians, I'd be less concerned about this than I would about this. Okay, there's a
Hmm.
series of strikes here that have happened, and I would be when I say I'm concerned, I'm not exaggerating this, because what this is an indication of to me is it's an indication of Belarus moving in.
Yeah.
All right. So it's no longer just the Russians, it's now the Russians and the Belarusians, all right, moving into this area. This is a significant concern. Okay. I want people to understand that these attacks now in the eastern province are more of a concern, because I think Belarus, let's be quite honest, the Belarusians,
Hmm.
they probably want to expand their territory too.
Yeah.
And let's be perfectly frank, they're not going to get Kiev. I don't care what Putin may have promised them, he's not going to turn Kiev over to them when he finally takes it. Now, if you take a look here, what you see the Russians moving down, and they're going to surround Kiev. And then what they're going to do is they're going to strangle it. That's what
Yeah.
they're going to do.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. They're not going to go in this idea that they're going to go house to house and get involved in a house to house fighting. Not what they're going to do. Right? This just shows you that these people they're not trying to think like Russians. They're not trying to think how the Russians do things. Right? The Russians have just been slowly taking these areas and locking down these routes around them. All right, to prevent these cities from being supplied with food.
Hmm.
And then they're going to choke the life out of them. And the idea that somehow they were expecting this to be over in a week or two, this tactic belies that.
Hmm.
Okay, this tactic to me indicates that they had no intention of just going in for a week or two. Right, that this was just, and they were expecting the Ukrainians to just roll over. The Ukrainians are fighting for their lives. All right,
Yep.
especially the ones that are part of the government in Kiev. They are literally fighting for their lives because Putin has every intention of killing them all.
Yeah.
Right now, that being said, there is no huge uprising within the Ukraine to support and fight the Russians yet. Maybe it'll come. Okay, but it's not there.
Mm-hmm.
You're not seeing this mass this mass movement coming in here to do this. All right. And I want to say one more thing. We had this little indication here, all right, of a UAV that got shot down. I'm going to click on it just to show what it looks like, and so forth. Right. This is what it looks like. Now, it's good that they shot it down because this is a surveillance drone. But it makes me think that the United States military needs to revisit something. With all this drone activity that you're seeing from all of this, it's making me think that the United States needs to revisit an old weapons platform. And so should the Soviets, or so the Russians, rather. Right? There is an old weapons platform that we were trying to develop. We never put it into production after development. Okay,
You have my attention. So the what?
Called the Sergeant York.
Okay.
Now, what they did is they were trying to create something that could compete against the ZSU 23-4s.
Okay.
Remember what did you ever see what a ZSU 23-4 was like?
No, well, at least not that I can remember. I mean,
Let me,
possibly.
I'll show you what the Sergeant York.
Okay.
This is what a Sergeant York looks like.
Oh. Oh, yes. No, I've seen that.
All right. Now, the Sergeant York system, all right, married our best 30mm cannons.
Yep.
Right. On our best tank chassis, right, with our best radar.
Yeah.
Okay. But 30mm isn't going to protect you, all right, from a high flying jet, right,
No.
dropping a bomb out of its range. All right. So this was meant for close air support.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we decided not to field this weapon system for several reasons, right? One of the problems that they encountered with this system was its radar was so sensitive. If a bird flew in front of the radar track, it would all of a sudden start tracking the bird.
Oh.
Okay? That's how sensitive this thing was. Right? And if you start firing, the bird is,
dust. Yeah.
All right. There were people that wanted to change these two auto fire cannons and put in a 30mm chain gun. Right.
Okay.
Which quite frankly, I kind of support because that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
All right. But this was to try and to come up with our version of the ZSU. Let's talk ZSU 3-4. Was the count of this thing? This is the version.
I do have one question. I'm sure you're about to tell me why, but what's wrong with a PIVAD? The M163.
I'm not sure what that system is.
Oh, okay. Hold it. Oh.
163, you said?
Yep, M163. DM'd a link for you.
There's nothing really wrong with it.
Okay.
All right.
Just the way you said that.
It's just that this radar system that it's using and everything, was not top of the line.
Well, no. I agree. What I'm saying is, how about marrying the two systems, or is that basically what the York is?
Well, the York had a mobile turret rather than just the gun platform
Ah,
being turreted.
okay.
Right. So it was a heavier vehicle meant to this. All right, people don't know this, but this is an old Bradley track.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah.
So it's not as, I mean, it's reliable, right? But the armor here is not nearly as thick as what you had under the York.
Yeah.
All right. So the York was more heavily armored. All right.
Okay.
This chain gun with the Vulcans, this Vulcan chain gun system is really nice. All right.
Mhm.
Um, I remember Schwarzkopf got in a lot of trouble when he stood up there and said that thing is great for clearing out a mass of troops that are in front of you. Because that's a
Mhm.
20 millimeter chain gun and it's not supposed to be used on personnel, right?
Yeah, but it'd work.
It works, and I wasn't trying to kill the person. I was just trying to hit his canteen. See,
Hmm.
equipment.
Yeah.
We're trying to destroy military equipment. He just
Mm.
got in the way. It's a stupid freaking rule that came from the Geneva Convention. Okay,
Yeah.
because whether or not you're like obliterated with a thermobaric bomb, or whether or not you freaking got hit with one of these, what the hell's the difference?
True. Have you heard that Russia actually admitted it's using vacuum bombs?
No, that's not what they said.
Oh no, they've now changed it to. Apparently, they're now admitting it. I don't know if that's
No,
true or
no,
not.
no, 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 no. That's not what they admitted to.
Oh, okay.
All right, they admitted to using the weapon system that has that capability.
Aha.
The
Mm.
grads. They admitted that yes, we are moving in grads in these systems, but they did not say that they have tossed any thermobaric weapon system.
Okay.
I will grant you that the likelihood that they're using those weapons is very high. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll be perfectly blunt. All right, I'm sure that they are. But one of the things that I was thinking of, like I was trying to say before, is because of the UAV threats, bringing in the York back just to take care of those UAVs and these low flying UAVs
Yeah.
might be something that we need to start considering again. All right.
Okay.
And and it has to do with the sensitivity of that radar. The sensitivity of that radar is very important. You see, but there's a problem with radar. Okay, this
Yeah.
is why everyone doesn't. People who don't practice don't understand. If you don't practice war, you don't go out there and try and you know truly understand how these systems work, right? How you have to use them. One of the things that the Russians did until the Gulf War, right, is their doctrine was you turn the radar on all the damn time,
Yeah.
right?
Great.
The first Gulf War showed them that if you turn the radar on, it eats a missile.
Yeah.
Okay, so they realized, holy shit, the Americans have weapon systems that follow the radar beam right down the trail, and you eat the missile.
Thing is, I've
And
been
they're
doing that
firing
for a
from
while.
platforms and from far enough that we can't see it coming.
Yeah.
All right, this is different than the Vietnam War. Yes, we had harms, which are radiation missiles, anti-radiation missiles,
Yeah.
right? We had them in Vietnam, but what we didn't have is the ability to fire them, okay, from a weapons platform that wasn't seen.
Okay.
The 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 stealth fighter, the 117s,
Hmm.
when we brought those in and married them with the harms, all of a sudden anything that was radiating just started blowing up. And we were like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't see it fast enough to sit up there and do anything about it. Right? What the plan was, what they used to do is when they thought that a wild weasel mission, because that's what these missions were called in Vietnam.
Yeah.
When a wild weasel mission was being utilized, what they would train their people to do is if you see something like this happening, you turn off your freaking radar because you don't want to eat the missile.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I mean, these are quite interesting, right? The wild weasel. If you ever study the people who ran the wild weasel mission, those are some brave sons of bitches, all right? Because they were intentionally asking for the Russians to turn their radar on to fire missiles at them.
Yeah.
And then they would then dodge those missiles while other platforms out of range would fire the harm. Right?
Okay.
So the Russians realized, crap, we got to change things. All right. So what they've been doing, what they changed, one of the doctrines that they changed is instead of having active platforms all the time, was you only activate it now and then, right? And when you activate it and you look, you then leave. Okay. If you don't find anything anything actionable, and even if you do find something actionable, you report it and you leave. You don't stick around, right? We don't know why. All right. But to be honest, for this kind of support, it's probably a good idea to have like a few ZSU 23-4s, right? To bring in close air support, depending upon how good their radar is. And that's another problem that they're having. That the Russians are being shown is our radar is good enough to pick up these UAVs. Theirs is iffy, right? And that's a problem for them. Okay, their best radar and their best platforms, right, are not the ones you're seeing out here. Okay, and there's several reasons for it. They're mobile platforms that they have that are going to fire short, for short range protection, right? Don't have the best radar. Does that make sense?
Yes.
The best radar that they have, the best system that they have for air support or ground to air missiles, right, is the SU 400s. Okay. But have you seen the size of an SU 400 missile?
Not that I know of.
They're huge. Okay. Let me pull one of those up so you can take a look at this.
I got a cool picture of your Sergeant York here from looking at it from the rear. Yeah, actually, I can see what you mean. It does look quite tasty, actually, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was a hell of a system. It really did this. Does this give you an idea?
Oh, wowzers!
Okay, this is meant to take out bombers. This is meant to take out high-flying aircraft. Okay,
yeah.
It's not meant to take out a UAV. You're not going to sit up there and get some guy with his little quadcopter and wipe this out, all right? With an S400. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, these are like Patriot batteries. They're their version of a Patriot battery.
Okay.
Right. It's got some interesting capabilities, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are issues, all right, like everything with it. About there's some discussion, but the radar that this system has been seriously upgraded, right? And it is one of the top of the line radar systems. Okay. And you'll also notice the radar is not part of the missile package. That's because the radar system is set off to the side. And in fact, the radar dishes and everything else are set off even further than that. Okay. For some reason, the Russians don't want these things taken out. We don't know why.
Can't imagine.
All right. But but what they do is they just do spot checks with these things, right?
Yeah.
Rather than close support. All right. So it's one of the things that they haven't done. But like I said, I'm very concerned about this because this is a broadening of the war. All right. This indicates that they're probably going to try and punch through, that the Belarusians are going to try and punch through down this line.
Yeah.
That's what I would suspect. Right. Unless there's an airfield here that I didn't see. Right. They're probably getting ready to punch through along this border.
Yeah.
Right. That's what it looks like to me. That's a concern. Now, as far as what's been happening here, good luck. So the Ukrainians, good luck to you guys. All right, I feel for you. I understand the ones that want to fight, but unless your country totally mobilizes for war, you're not going to defeat the Russians.
True.
Okay, and I hate to say this, But in all honesty, I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen them go to total mobilization yet. You would have a lot more people standing up and trying to fight. All right. They moved in 100,000, well, 200, we'll say 200,000, just to keep it around number. About 200,000 troops. If that's the case, then you should be able to do that. And the population of Kiev was what, 5 million? You should be able to get that just in Kiev alone. If you fully mobilized, right?
Yeah.
So you've got plenty of other cities. Why didn't you fully mobilize? All right, or why is this full mobilization not taking place? Well, part of it could be it just takes time to mobilize like that. Right? It's not when you talk about this kind of stuff and you talk about mobilization. Mobilization isn't instantaneous.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but it's also possible that they didn't think that the Russians would take it to this degree. Okay.
Something Carl's saying. Russians don't need airfields. They can land on rutted dirt roads as long as the soil is compacted.
They can land there and they can take off from there, but you don't know where the hell you're going. There's a lot of reasons you don't want to just use a road. All right, because you want the other support equipment around there. Okay. Yes, the Russian airframes can do that. Okay, but that doesn't mean it's perfect, right?
Yeah.
And the Russians, to be honest, they're not having a problem flying, right? And
True.
the same thing and the same equipment is used by the Ukrainians, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, from the air support capabilities, it's like I said, the Russian doctrines are what they are. All right, and yes, a lot of people are dying, and yes, I'm sure a lot of Russian troops have died. Okay, I don't think it's the numbers that the Ukrainians are trying to report, but at the same time, it's more than five. What the Russians have admitted to. Okay,
Yeah.
So from that perspective, it's interesting, right? Like I said, though, the Russians, this is their doctrine. They're not really behind schedule. This is how they approach things. And when you talk about a schedule to the Russians, a Russian on schedule and an American on schedule is not the same thing. I'm trying to explain this. Okay. A Russian on schedule is we're moving forward. As long as you're moving forward, even if it's yard by yard, you're moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Up to the point where you wait for resupply.
Yeah.
Right? That's their doctrine, that's their tactics, that's how they approach these things. So to say that the Russians are behind schedule, to say that the Russians were expecting the Ukrainians to roll over in a week, I don't think the Russians were expecting them to roll over in a week. I do think that the Russians were not expecting some of the effectiveness of the counterattacks. Okay. But then again, they're not worried about taking casualties either. They're like looking at that going, oh, okay. All right. I mean, that's really what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right. The people, because when it comes to dying on the battlefield, I hate to say this, but you're expected to die on the battlefield. Now, what's more disconcerting, right, if I was a Russian, all right, is there's been a lot of reporting of defections, right, where entire units have mutinied. Not sure how accurate those reports are. Okay. But if those reports are accurate, there's a huge problem.
Yeah.
In the Russian military then. Right? That's an indication of a huge problem. Speaking of which, we had this discussion a little bit earlier, but let's let people in on this.
Okay.
You want to give me the attitude of the quote unquote amount of and let me ask another question. How many of the currently serving members of the British military are defecting to go fight in the Ukraine?
Right. The exact numbers I don't know, but I can tell you this much. It's enough that the Prime Minister has actually stated that once this war is over and the soldiers come back, they will be charged for absent without leave. And yes, it is true. We are actually, let's say they are actually leaving their positions and just going straight over to Ukraine to fight because, well, quite simply, screw you. If you're not going to do nothing about it, we're going to do it ourselves. Is this dangerous? Yes. Is this possibly a bad idea? Yes. Are we doing it anyway? Yes.
Right. I'll get back to you that comment in just a moment. Okay, Carl. No, they complained. They did. They say that they didn't complain. No, Carl, they complained. They complained a lot. Right. But back to your statement.
One sec, one sec. Chris, we will be talking about that in a little while. I totally understand what you're saying, mate.
Yeah. The the thing is these are active duty members that are going AWOL. Right?
Yes. With gear.
Can you give me the and give the viewers here? Can you give them an understanding of why somebody who is active duty military would go AWOL to go join these guys? What's the thought process involved in that? Because see, you're not having that problem in America, right? You're not seeing active duty soldiers going AWOL to join the fight in the Ukraine.
This is true. Over here, it's very much a case of, well, if our government aren't going to pull their thumbs at their asses and get something done, we're going to do it ourselves. Now, that's dangerous because there's no backup from your own people, except once you get over there, at which point we're basically creating the PALS Brigade, but from 1914. Literally, the British are clubbing together once they get over there and producing their own brigades and things like that. Ditto the Canucks.
All right. Are you? But the question. But why would you leave your own military? And what's more is what do they expect the British government to do? Do they want the British government to declare war on
Yes.
on
I'm
Russia?
actually going to save time because I know where you're going. Yes, that is what they want to do. And if you're working on what why are they doing it? What are they expecting? They're expecting to go over there and they're expecting to fight. That is all that matters to them.
They're going to be fed into a freaking meat grinder. Do you understand
I
that?
know. Oh yeah. I didn't say it was a good idea. I just said that that's why they're doing
Because
it.
they're not the Ukrainians don't the Ukrainian doctrine is not a whole lot different than the Russian doctrine.
Yep.
Okay, so I mean, what are they going to expect for support? They're going to expect air support. That's not coming.
No.
Right? Are they going to expect armor support? That ain't coming.
Yeah. Like I said,
Do they understand this?
I did not say it was a good idea. I just said that that is what they're doing. Do I support them? To be honest, sort of, yeah. I personally think that our government needs to do one of two things. A, stay out of it, or B, get involved. Don't do this little bit here, little bit there that they're currently doing. Either turn around to Putin and go, you know what, screw you, Jack. And my argument there is, let's say that Putin actually takes Ukraine, okay? He then turns around and says, I'm taking over, and I'm spitballing. I'm not making definite claims. I'm actually just throwing it out for the sheer shits and giggles. I'm taking over Romania. If you get in the way, we're going to nuke you. What's the world going to do? Is it going to go, oh, okay, you do what you need to? Because it's going to get to the point he's going to be standing outside, in your case, Washington, D.C., going, bow down or else.
Carl, AWOL Russians are hoping that they can get in on that sweet U.S. taxpayer money like Zelensky, hoping they can get a percentage of the big guys kickback. All right. I'm going to say this again. Right.
Mm-hmm.
The Russians are winning this at the moment.
Yes.
Okay? Anybody who does not think that the Russians can't, if you're one of these idiots who have been listening to mainstream media, has been indicated, oh, there's no way for Russia to win this, folks. Right now, the Russians are winning. Yeah. Understand this, okay? And when we're going to talk about the Canadians,
Mm-hmm.
Exclusive. So many Canadian fighters in the Ukraine that they have their own battalion. The International Legion for the Territorial Defense of the Ukraine says that 550 would-be fighters from Canada are based in Kiev. So many citizens of Canada have shown up in the Ukraine to fight for the country's new foreign legion. The organization has set up a separate Canadian battalion, says the Ukrainian government source. The news is more evidence of a historic movement by people here to join the armed forces of another nation and potentially risk their lives in combat against Russian invaders. And the Russians are invading. There's no question about this. The 550 would-be fighters that have arrived from Canada are so far part of a battalion based in Kiev, said the representative of the International Legion for the Territorial Defense of the Ukraine, who asked not to be identified for security reasons. The International Legion volunteers are usually kept together for logistics purposes, as it is easier for communications. Ding, 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 right? To avoid language barriers. Because I guarantee you, they're significant. Okay?
Yeah.
Ukrainian is a Cat 4 language. What do you know?
In all fairness, Nomad, let's be honest, okay? The language change is going to be hideous, and there's absolutely nobody out there that can understand Canadians at the best of time.
Now, meanwhile, a Ukrainian Canadian activist helping in the recruitment of fighters in this country says hundreds more have volunteered to fight in the Ukraine. Boris, and I'm not going to try to butcher that name.
Wow.
There is just no way I could even do even butchering it could do it justice.
No.
Right? A former Liberal MP who is helping the Ukrainian diplomats organize volunteers for the International Legion said his rough estimate is that there are at least 1,000 Canadians that have applied to join the force. Canadians can sign up for the official Ukrainian government program through a website. Defend the Ukraine.ca, or by contacting the embassy or consulates directly. But Boris, I'm going to call him Boris right now, said many are simply picking up and going to the Ukraine via Poland. What is so heartfelt is that there's so many Canadian ex-military who are stepping forward and understand that this is just so fundamentally wrong, he said in response to the Russians' invasion. They are by nature our protectors, and they are willing to step forward and travel to the Ukraine. Now, it's a good thing that these guys are from Canada because they're used to the cold, because that's what it's going to be. Cold as F, right?
Oh, yeah.
It was just in a month or so, though, you know what it's going to be?
Hot.
Mud. It's all going to be freaking mud. All right. So just so you just be prepared for this, right? Because mud sucks when it comes to combat. Mud sucks anyway. Right? But it sucks in combat even more, right? They are also aware that this isn't just a battle for freedom and democracy of 44 million Ukrainian citizens. Today, the people are on the front lines of the Ukraine are defending the North Atlantic democratic space. Okay, stop right there. The Ukraine is not a democracy. Okay? The current situation in the Ukraine is not a group of democratic people. It's not. Okay? You can say that they had elections. Yeah, so did Hitler.
True.
You going to say the Nazis were Democrats? Or Democrat? Well, I mean, let me rephrase that. You going to tell me that the Nazis are a democratic state? They're not. All right. Now they're not a dictatorship. Okay, like you have in Russia.
Yeah.
All right. And by the way, Vlad was elected too. Okay. So if you're going to use the process saying, well, Zelensky was elected, well, so was Vlad.
Yep.
So was Putin. So you can tell me it's two democracies fighting one another? Just put it there. But the difference is an oligarchy, right? The Ukrainian, now, Zelensky may be the top of the oligarchies, but it's run by oligarchs.
Yeah.
And this is why you have 44 million Ukrainians. If you have 44 million Ukrainian citizens, You should be able to put together, in this kind of a situation, 2 million Ukrainians rising up to put a stop to this.
Yeah.
Show me where it's at. Do you have 2 million Ukrainians that are showing up to do this? I don't see it.
Fair.
All right. Now, the embassy is vetting those that have applied. At least some Canadians cleared to go to the Ukraine will be receiving training in Poland, according to Boris and Chris Eklund, a Hamilton, Ontario businessman who has set up his own group, Fight for the Ukraine.ca, right, to assist those going overseas. Now, the Canadian government under Trudeau is encouraging this shit.
Yeah.
All right. Why?
Good question, actually.
I have my opinion of this
Yeah.
is what he's doing is he's getting people out of the way that could actually be dangerous to his plans.
Okay.
Because if these people had joined and jumped up and supported the truckers convoy, it would have been a bad day in Canada. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's take these elements, right, that are willing to actually fight and send them away, and hopefully they'll get killed over there, right?
Yeah.
So that they don't, so that they're out of our hair. That way we could start imposing our policies without any kind of worry about having to deal with these guys.
Fair. One thing I would like to say to everybody, if you want to stick it to Trudeau, what you do is you honk for Ukraine. What's he going to say? I'm not supporting Ukraine. just remember to put that out there. Honk for Ukraine on your Twitter and other devices. It's a good way of getting hated by the Canadians.
Remember,
do you need any other
Ukraine.
reason? Yes.
Hey, Carl, not mud, wet concrete, and gumbo mixed with glue and sand.
He's not wrong.
No, he's not. That is what's going to happen. That is the kind of the Ukraine is a rural country. It does not have a tremendous amount of industrial capability.
No.
Right, and because of that, in a fight like this, how long can they go? Now that is a problem for the Russians. The fact is the Ukrainians on their own can't sustain a fight. And if that's the mentality that Putin had when he went into here, that was an ignorant philosophy, especially because, well, that doesn't stop the Americans, it doesn't stop the British or the French, for that matter, from shipping weapons into there. All right, so the amount of arms and material flowing into the Ukraine, all right, even though, quite frankly, much of what we currently have is Soviet or Russian, and that's cut off. But that doesn't mean that the Americans can't say anything. Now, we have already said certain things, right? For example, which I agree with. You can say what you want. We moved a series of Patriot batteries into Poland. I don't know if anybody saw that. They were then immediately asked, well, how about giving them to the Ukrainians? And Biden said, no, they're not going. And the reason is very simple. Okay? There's no way in hell the Ukrainians, right, could effectively use a Patriot battery.
True.
Right? They're just not trained for it. Okay? You would have to send Ukrainians to the United States, and then you would have to train them. And the Ukrainians that you sent to the United States to learn this better all speak English well. Because all of our manuals and all the documentation and all the explanations for it are in English.
Yep.
All right. So you can't just hand this one of the things. You can't just hand a weapon system over to the Ukrainians and say that they're going to be able to do anything about it. No. Some of the simple stuff like the Stingers and the Manpads, yes. Okay. The Javelin missile systems, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. but that isn't going to stop these jets. You're going to hit a jet here and there, all right? It's very effective against helicopters. I will admit that, right? But as far as these jets go, it's not as easy as people think it is.
No.
But the Canadians going over there, like I said, Trudeau is encouraging this. Now, in the United States, we've already said, no. If you come back to the United States, you will be charged with going overseas as a mercenary.
Same as the British. Yeah.
Okay. So then, it's going to get ugly, right? The Ukrainian embassy draws U.S. citizens seeking to fight in the war. Really? There are a group of Americans that want to go over there as mercenaries, right?
Yeah.
That's not a denial, okay? Russia's invasion of the Ukraine has given smaller nations' embassy in Washington an unexpected role, a recruitment center for Americans who want to join the fight. Really? How many are showing up? Right? I'll be honest with you. You know, if the situation was different, I could see myself volunteering for this.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But they are over half of the potential volunteers are quickly rejected. They didn't even make it to the Zoom interview, the general said. They lacked enough military experience, had criminal backgrounds, or simply weren't suitable for other reasons, such as age, including a 16-year-old boy and a 73-year-old man. Yeah, I don't think they're going to be taking.
Gotta have respect for them actually having the balls to do it though at that age. Both that age as well, so that's not bad.
At that point, you know, I probably would just take one of these guys just to put him on the front line, and then I would send a camera crew to follow this guy as he goes to fight. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, he's probably going to die pretty quick. All right.
But that could be used as propaganda. That's actually not that bad. I like the idea there.
I don't disagree with you. I mean, but that is something that they would do. But of course, the question is why would a 73-year-old American go over there? Where's the 73-year-old Ukrainians?
Yeah. No, actually, going back to that propaganda thing. All right. Sorry to keep this going, but think about this. All right. If you guys hear about some 73-year-old grandpa going over there to fight against those goddamn commies, and yet I'm wording it that way very specifically, and then he's seen laying on the ground, bleeding out, the med tech's trying to save him, but he doesn't quite make it. My God, you lot are going to go mental and attack with your teeth and claws, let alone guns.
Yeah.
That could well be used. Just
it could be. It could be. Volunteers have a very large proportion of ex-military. These are people that have made the tough decision that they would enter the military to stand up for the values that we subscribe to, right? And when they see what's happening in the Ukraine, they can't stand aside. Now, I'm going to say something else. They're creating a battalion of Canadians.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my question: how many are actually U.S. citizens that went to Canada because we wouldn't fly them there?
Mm.
See, in Canada, they're having no problems routing these guys, but the United States really frowns on this kind of activity. So I don't think anybody's being recruited directly from the United States. I think that they're being recruited there, and they get sent up to Canada to actually travel over to Poland, and then go forward.
Fair, yeah.
So I think that a lot. I would venture to say probably about half the quote unquote supposed Canadians are actually Americans.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And yes, there are a lot of ex-military Americans that would love to be part of a mercenary unit.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and if my situation was different, I would consider it.
Mm-hmm.
The problem that they're going to have, though, is with Americans, which is different than the Canadians themselves, is the Americans expect one thing: to get paid. Okay.
Yeah.
The Ukrainians aren't promising to pay these guys, so there's somebody else promising to pay them. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Just put it out there.
Oh, yeah.
When Americans go mercenary, they're mercenary. Understand that.
Oh, yeah.
Ukrainians use stealth drone called the Punisher to wipe out Russian troops. Yeah, this thing has a 2.2 meter wingspan.
Mm-hmm.
That's about 7 feet total, right? Can carry up to 3 explosives. What? Firecrackers?
No, I've worked it out. What they're not telling you is they've actually put razor blades on those wings and they're flying them at head height to
Right?
decapitate
Now,
the
now you
enemy.
take a look at this thing. Do you see this thing? Is this really a threat? Don't get me wrong. You can blow up a vehicle with this.
Yeah.
You're not blowing up a tank with it.
No.
Okay? You're not. Okay? So yeah, you can destroy vehicles. You can annoy the hell out of the Russians, but you're not really killing them. Okay? Not with this thing. But
Nah.
you know what? This thing would not survive a freaking York, Sergeant York. That's what I'm
No.
against these kinds of drones. York type systems would work very effectively. You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. As I was, when we was talking about earlier, to be honest, using it as a combat system, no, but using it as a spotter system, that makes sense.
Yes,
In
I
all
agree.
fairness, if you could fit weapon systems to it, as they say they have, you could fit a laser designator to it. And let's be honest, if it gets destroyed in the explosion,
All
who
right,
cares?
let's stop right here.
Hmm.
Stop right there.
Okay,
What did you just say?
which bit?
You said
Laser?
laser designator system.
Yes.
Do you really think that the Russians, let alone the Ukrainians, have a real capacity for these laser designated systems?
No, I agree. But the
Right?
British, the Canadian, and the Americans going over might do, and the
Well,
Polish may have
we would be able to laser
access.
designate, but you couldn't call in a strike
Fair,
because they don't have those weapon systems.
fair.
Now, with the 550 Canadians, if you create a battalion, you could create a battalion of Americans that could use a Patriot missile system in and of itself. But the problem with the Patriot, wait, there, there's something called integration.
Hmm.
Okay. And in order for a Patriot battery and a Patriot system to really work effectively, it has to be integrated as part of an overall structure for air defense.
Yes.
You don't have that in Ukraine. You don't have that capability in the Ukraine right now. And it's obvious that the Russians don't have it either. All right? I hate to
Okay.
put it to people, but it's obvious that the Russians have no concept of this as well. So it's
So,
an equal fight from that standpoint.
but
Okay.
what about the like helicopters, i.e., the Hinds, etc.? And I say etc. because there's more than just the Hind. Don't they have missile systems? You could have those fly over, do the laser designator, and then the helicopter pop up, whoosh, drop back down again.
You okay? First of all, the
Mhm.
idea of whoop whoop and drop back down again. You need forests to do that. You need something to
Uh,
hide behind. You're talking the Ukraine, which is just basically flat freaking country, right?
you are correct, but there are also buildings and things like that, and a helicopter could hide behind a building or a hill. Because at the end of the day, it's literally popping up, launching, dropping.
The problem with those things is how loud they are. You know it's there.
Yeah, true.
Okay,
That's true.
this is there's reasons, all right, why you don't do this kind of stuff, or how you do this with an entirely integrated platform. You're not going to use that kind of a system from a helicopter. For one thing, if you have a helicopter there, you can aim it. Why would the helicopter need a laser designator from someone else?
One moment. Carl, yes, we actually did see that headline, and yes, we have actually reported on it. I actually think that that is the upgrade that Sharati is going to be getting to her cyberware next.
Yeah, yeah, Carl, we did see that. We did talk about it. Yeah, Sharardi was less than impressed. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, yeah. I think she was only complaining because she knows that now we know her secret.
Yeah, yeah. So it was interesting, but no, but back to this again, right? You know,
Hmm.
this thing isn't. Can it do damage? Can it kill troops? Sure. All right. Is it going to? No. Right. And to be honest, like I said, if you had a ZSU 23-4, this thing would get blown out of the sky.
Yeah.
Right. And as long as the radar was up to finding it. And to be honest, I would be using those things heavily for air defense. Right. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
I'll tell you another thing that the Russians are not using very effectively, or doesn't seem to be using effectively. Where are their jammers?
Yeah.
Okay, where are their now? The Russians may have given up on jamming, all right, because of the Gulf War. Okay, one of the things that they expected was that their GPS jammers would seriously affect our smart bombs and our GPS guided bombs, and they were flat out worthless. Right, and it was quite obvious that they were flat out worthless.
Yeah. Okay.
The Iraqi, this is one thing that and there's a lot of reasons why they were worthless. Right, it's not to jam a GPS system. It's not easy to do. Okay, it's very difficult actually, and the reason for it is what you're jamming is in the sky.
Yeah.
Okay, so the reception and everything is coming from a specific direction in space. It's not coming from the Earth, right? Yeah. To where it's looking for something on the Earth, right? It's getting its coordinate system from space, and so in order to overwhelm the antenna, which is intentionally pointing towards space, you have to put in so much power, and in order to get that kind of power to overwhelm it, it's impossible at the frequencies that they're talking about, unless you're very close. Okay, yeah. Because you're just the antenna orientation is always going to be wrong. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you might want to look at what Carl just put. I'll let you have that one.
Radar jammers. The Ukrainians employ some fly guys.
And that's why I'll let you have that one.
But what it's led to is one of the problems with the Iran-Iraq war, the Iraq war, the war in Afghanistan, and the Gulf War created, is they give the world the impression that warfare is clean.
Yep.
Right? And what's more is that this is how it all should be carried out. The Russians don't have this kind of capability on a broad scale. They just don't have it. Okay. True. No, we were talking about vagina speakers. They're
Yeah, you went for it. Oh, okay, cool.
But anyway, the Russians don't have that kind of capability on a broad scale. That's not saying that they don't have a weapon that could do it. It's saying it's not something that they can deploy on a broad front, right?
Okay.
And so the difference is most of what they're throwing are dumb munitions. Most of the artillery, that they throw, they do not have the accuracy in artillery that we do. Why? Because our systems are integrated, which creates that accuracy. Okay, they're still using the accuracy from World War II. You get your little freaking your map. You put your freaking compass on it, right? You put your degree, and you go, okay, how far? Fire. Did it hit? You have somebody out there as a spotter going, nope, too long, too short, just to the left, just to the right, as they slowly dial this in. That's the Russian technique. That's the artillery technique that they use. With an American system, it's basically go, where's it at? Fire! And we can obliterate it because our technology has advanced to that degree. The Russians don't use that.
Their technology isn't much greater than mortar use, let's be honest.
Exactly. All right?
Lob it in that direction, see what happens.
And so when people start making comments, they hit a hospital. Is the hospital completely leveled and destroyed? Well, no. Then they didn't intentionally try to hit the hospital. Okay? Their weapon systems just aren't that accurate. Now,
Yeah.
if they hit what they were aiming at, that's when they open up with everything and do a barrage. They blanket the area.
Yeah.
That's why I say, is the hospital still there? Yeah. Well, then they weren't targeting the hospital. It's war.
Yeah.
This is what war is really like for these guys. Understand this. They're not intentionally targeting civilians. In fact, they're doing an attempt. It's obvious at the attempt,
Yeah.
right? That they're trying to avoid civilian casualties to a degree. They're not worried about taking any. I saw an earlier one where a Russian tank was in front of a column of trucks, and some poor sot was driving up on his car, and the tank just saw him as when they came into an intersection, and they just freaking obliterated that car. All right, the two occupants were dead. Okay,
Yeah.
it's not. It's and then the tank moved on its road, and everybody else came through there. They lit up that vehicle, right? Now,
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. If that happened to an American, I can see American tankers doing the same thing. I can see anybody doing that. Why? Because all of a sudden a vehicle pops up driving toward you.
Oh yeah.
It's war. If they weren't intentionally targeting this person just to kill civilians, but they were going to remove what was a possible threat, you have to understand that. There's a difference there. Right? To start throwing around terms like war crimes and all this other bullshit, you're opening up a can of worms, all right, that you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Because if this is getting you upset, if what the Russians are doing is getting you upset, then why the hell haven't you gone over to freaking Uyghur land over in China?
Mm-hmm.
All right? If this is getting you upset, well then tell me what's happening to the Uyghurs. I'm just pointing this out, the hypocrisy here.
Oh yeah.
America's going to be respected. We got an adult in charge. The world is going to start to stand up, and they respect Joe Biden. Yeah, they respect him so much that the Emirates, all right, basically told us to go F off. They literally would not take a phone call from Joe Biden. This is somebody that in every other time period was able to get like the UAE, right? To actually make peace and declare peace with Israel, and you substituted that individual for someone who can't even call the Saudis and say, "Can you please increase the oil?" And that's what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
Because right now it's becoming obvious that the oil is getting out of control. The gasoline, the oil, the price of oil is shot way the hell up. All right. Now, the oil prices shot way the hell up, though. They've been on that trend up long before this Ukrainian crisis. That thing has been spiking, all right, ever since this jackass got in charge.
It's almost like it was his fault. How about that? How strange.
You declare all drilling in America persona non grata. You go out there and start trying to sue. You send the EPA to sit up there and get their nose to stop every freaking drilling project that was going on in the United States. And then you have the audacity to go, "Oh no, it's Putin, it's Putin. Oh no, the oil company's got plenty. They can drill. Bullshit. We went from 1 year, all right, being energy self-sufficient under Trump, and the very next year we were back to importing freaking oil.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, this is long before the freaking Ukrainian crisis that we're talking about now. How did that happen? Because this guy is a freaking incompetent, all right?
Yes.
And when you've got a quote-unquote ally who will not take a phone call from the United States, do you think he fears the United States? Do you think that this is someone who's concerned about the United States?
No.
That's how far the presidency has fallen because of this jackass, okay? And the dumbass shit that the mainstream media did under Trump to try and destroy the United States. This guy is a buffoon. He's a clown on the world stage.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to do something about Russia. What? Talk? Tell me. The Germans, have they agreed to turn off all their oil yet? To turn off Russian gas and stop sending fuel things, tons of the millions and millions of dollars over to Russia? No. Well, then how the hell are you going to put a sanction? We're going to sanction them. Well, we're going to level sanctions. We're going to level more sanctions. We're going to scare the U.S. rejects Poland's offer to give Russian-made fighters to the Ukraine. Gee, now why would the U.S. do that? Why would Biden do this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I can tell you right now why it is. Because that deal would require the United States to turn over and basically replace all the weapon systems with American weapon systems. Now, well, I agree that would be a good idea to give the Poles like F-35s and things like that. The problem is our production lines aren't there. We don't have the ability to pump out F-35s like we need to. We don't have the ability to replace the entire Polish Air Force, all right, with upgraded weapon systems. And quite frankly, an F-35 by itself, all right, is not a whole lot better than a MiG-29, quite frankly. By itself.
Yeah.
On an integrated platform, that's a different story. But you'd have to develop, that takes time to develop that kind of integration, and it takes time to develop that kind of movement. Even if we had the airframes to give them, to get them to utilize them effectively, that's another year down the road.
Yep.
Well, what about the Europeans? Why don't you explain to me why the Europeans aren't doing it, Jenson?
If I could explain why the Europeans weren't doing something, I would. But I'm just going to remind you, it's like me turning around to you lot and saying, so why aren't the Ecuadorians doing something? Why don't you explain that one to me? We're not part of them. Okay.
I'm not talking about you guys. I'm talking about
Good.
All right. I'm talking about the British because the British, are basically use our F-35s.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Shouldn't.
Just, I know, but when's that ever stopped us? Look.
Right. But you shouldn't use the Eurofighter either. That thing's worse.
Yeah, but that is a pile of crap. To
Right.
be honest.
I would like to know why the French aren't sending a bunch of their Mirages over.
I feel the urge to do this stupid joke. They are. You just can't see them. They're a mirage. Sorry.
You laugh all you want, but the Mirages are not a bad platform. Right? They're really not.
Okay.
They're not. Are they as good as our F-16s and stuff? No. But then again, our stuff has a lot of package. It's got a lot of capabilities. The French do have airframes.
Yeah.
In fact, I think don't the French have more aircraft carriers than you guys do right now?
Yeah.
And that's a sad state of affairs.
Mate, don't. We are no longer the Britain that we were. Quite simply, Queen Victoria would look at what we've got and shoot herself. Okay, I'm being blunt. She would just shoot herself.
So the problem that the Poles have is the Poles were willing to give these systems up if and only if, all right, they could be supplied with NATO aircraft and then trained right away. Mm-hmm. And they're not going to be. And the Europeans aren't helping them because, quite frankly, they can't because their stuff is all freaking mothballed. Right? Yep. Show me where's the German Air Force? Where's the Luftwaffe? the wanted Luftwaffe? Where's those tornadoes? Right? Where's all the shit that they're supposed to? Where's the Eurofighter? It's nowhere around here. Mm-hmm. So and of course the Germans, they're freaking useless. Yeah. The Germans claim that they have, according to Wikipedia, 2,500, all right, armored tanks, armored vehicles.
Sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. In 2012, in 2014, I believe it was, right? A German general said, "Yeah, we have 123 active, operational ready tanks. 123."
Wow. Oh.
Okay. And guess what? They did nothing from 2014 to 2022. right, to change
Mm-hmm.
that.
You know
Literally
why?
nothing.
You know why, don't you? Why should they? America will come in and deal with it,
They're
though.
parasites. The Germans
Yes.
and the rest of the Europeans are freaking parasites. They're NATO parasites. And it's about time that we cut those parasites off. Just put it out there.
Yes, but and this is going to make absolutely no difference whatsoever. But I'm going to say it anyway. You do know that large chunks of Europe are now actually finally decided. Oh, let's actually pay our NATO fee. They're
And
actually
where do you
going to start
where do you
paying.
think that's going to go? With all due respect, I saw that. I saw that
Yeah.
with the Germans promised to sit up there and spend 100 billion euros, right, to upgrade their military. Really? So first question comes about: where are you getting the money?
Well, I can tell you where it's going to go. They need to teach their soldiers lesbian dance theory. Everyone
Well,
knows that.
that's why Biden's up there and is asking for Congress to 2.6
Hmm.
billion to promote gender equity. We need our tax dollars. All right, we have one of the, quite frankly, if you don't believe, they once again set a record. The federal government, of the U.S. federal government, set a record, all right, for revenue into the government, all right, taxes into the government, and this jackass's priority is 2.6 billion to promote gender equity.
Wow. Hmm.
And you wonder why the Saudis didn't take his call. You wonder why the Saudis were like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Really. Hat in hand. All right. The last NATO training exercise, Germany showed up with minivans for their APCs and broomsticks for rifles. I
I
know.
believe it.
I know.
Just,
Ever since the wall fell,
yeah.
once the wall fell, Germans didn't give a shit. They were already in the slide before the wall fell, though. People don't understand this.
Yeah.
Right? If you ever, I remember being in Germany, and it shocked me. It absolutely shocked me when we went on a little exercise with the Germans. And you know what their priority for logistics is? Beer. To see soldiers in uniform drinking beer
Yeah.
it was shocking. I mean, absolutely shocking to me. And I'm not talking about in an EM club or like
Yeah.
the on post clubs. Now, on the on post clubs, you could see it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Although to be honest, even then it was rare because most of the guys would go put their civvies on before they went to the club, right?
Yeah.
But you would see it now and then. But on an exercise, on a training exercise at 10 a.m., these guys are cracking open a beer.
Yeah.
Hadn't seen that. Saw it in Germany. Didn't see it before.
Bad, isn't it?
I mean, it's disgusting is what it was.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, while he's asking for $2 billion for gender equity, well, Americans may have to say goodbye to steak and burgers, all right, as beef costs rise. No kidding, because inflation is out of control, right? Biden's got a plan, though. That gender equity is going to fix this, right?
I
Processors
have.
like Tyson Foods and JBS USA are making the least amount of money per head of cattle slaughtered in more than 2 years, according to data from Hedger's Edge LLC. That's a sign that the demand for the luxury meat is flagging. All right, consumers are
I
more likely to splurge on steaks and chops. Don't think of this.
dude. There's one way to deal with all this. Eat the Democrats. It deals with both problems in one.
I don't think cannibalism is the way out of this. All right?
Rubbish.
From the Babylon Bee, folks. A parody, non-parody story. This is a parody site, and it's meant to be parody, but it's not. Okay? Let them drive Teslas, says Pete Buttigieg, clad in elaborate 18th century royal gown. Upon reading a communique describing Americans' growing discomfort with record-breaking gas prices, coupled with a dependence on foreign oil, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, right, clad in an elaborate 18th century royal gown, announced to his Twitter entourage, "Let them drive Teslas."
One thing before you carry on, you do realise that's probably the most masculine he's ever looked.
Probably. All right. Well, actually, he was a Marine. He looked like a Marine in his uniform.
Oh, definitely more masculine like that.
Right. It is an absurdly simple solution to our domestic energy crisis. Does the peasantry not understand what an electric car is? Scoffed Buttigieg while hiding a delicate laugh behind his silken handkerchief. I do say they lack the simple notion of what a Tesla is. I must declare them to be hopeless, wretched class of people. And this is close to what he said.
It wouldn't be
Right?
so bad.
The sad part about this is this is a parody, but it's not really a parody. He did tell Americans and put it out on things. You guys need to buy more electric cars. Hey, jackass, do you understand where electricity comes from? Do you realize that the majority of oil and gasoline used in this country isn't for cars? It's not for transportation. It's for fueling the power plants. Does somebody like this jackass understand that? No, he doesn't.
Nope.
This is an idiot. And this kind of idiocy on parade. They were telling, and it's laughable. You guys want to laugh? Take a look at where California is going to be in 5 years. All right, it's going to be a cesspool. All right, and it's going to be far worse than it is right now. Oh, it's going to get worse. It's going to get far worse. Let me tell you that right now. It's going to get really bad because they flat out said we're not going to allow long haul trucks that aren't in the state. Can't wait to see this. Meanwhile, here in Arizona, almost 1,000 people are now living in Phoenix's exploding tent city. Gee, I wonder why. It wouldn't have anything to do with the fact that, hey, it's wintertime and these fuckers have got tired of being cold, so they left New York to come down here.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's growing. You got more than 1,000 people living in a tent city, right? Because they put in a freaking lefty Democrat governor, or a mayor rather, in Phoenix. And look what you get, folks. Every year here in Tucson, we see an influx in the wintertime of all the homeless. But you know what? You won't have to worry about this exploding tent city for very long. You want to know why? Because come freaking June, these sons of bitches will be leaving.
Yep.
And you know where they're going to go? San Francisco. Enjoy. Enjoy, because that's coming. Right? They're out there going to be on their way. And I'm not exaggerating this. Right? These transients, it's amazing how much money they actually have because they have the ability to sit up there and actually transfer back and forth across these things.
Yeah. Right?
It's amazing that they can go from one area to another. And the reason, these guys have more money than you realize. Now, you know what? Let me pull that back up. Let me pull that story back up. Let's go over to here. Right? Now, you see this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Does it look like this guy's missed a meal anytime soon?
Well, they're not telling you is 3 weeks ago he was £800. Right?
See, he's a 28-year-old mechanic experiencing homelessness. Really? He doesn't seem like he missed meals on his way to becoming homeless.
No.
He didn't miss too many meals. All right, when he was worried about his house, he didn't start skipping on meals. That's for sure. Welcome to America. Right? I'm serious. Welcome to America. This is the kind of shit that goes on. Oh, wrong thing. Let's talk about South Korea for a moment. South Korea conservative opposition candidate Yoon wins presidential election. From Seoul, South Korea, Reuters. South Korea's conservative opposition presidential candidate Yoon Suk-yeol, right, won Wednesday's election. The Yonhap news agency reported on Thursday. Lee Jae-myung, the ruling party candidate, all right, held a news conference conceding his defeat and congratulating Yoon. All right. Now, why am I bringing this guy up? One, right, the conservatives party is necessary because they're looking at what's going around in the world right now. And you know what they've determined? Commies are dangerous. Right?
No duh.
Commies like Putin are freaking dangerous. These are dangerous people. And that lunatic across the way, right? Kim Jong-un, right? He's dangerous too. And
They're
all
quick.
the promises by Sun Young-moon that he could deal with all right, Kim Jong-un, and that they could have a rapprochement, and that we're going to have a one Korea, and we're all going to sing Kumbaya. None of that came about. Right? Instead, what they got was the coronavirus. Right?
Yeah.
For some reason, the Korean people are like, you know what? That sucks. Now, you notice he's still got a mask on.
Yeah.
Right? That's Koreans. You know, they're very much they're a different culture, right? And mask wearing in Asia is not like mask wearing in the United States. Right? They don't look at it the same way.
No.
Right? For one thing, one of the reasons they used to wear masks is all right. Let me explain this. Some of their attitudes are backwards. Okay, there are certain beliefs that Koreans have, right? That were when I was there, right? I had a Korean lady explain to me that it was dangerous to have a fan on in the house because it would use up all the oxygen.
Wow.
Okay, they really believe this. Right? There are things that go along because it has to do with the culture, and they would find people dead, right, in houses,
Mm-hmm.
and they would think that they saw a fan going, right, so people were thinking that what happened was this fan sucked up all the oxygen. Really, what it was a leaking Ondal system, right, flooded the apartment with freaking carbon monoxide and killed everybody.
Yeah.
All right, but the mentality, that mindset, all right, literally took over, right? And it was a common mindset while I was there. Now I'm sure that they've gone past that to some degree, all right, because as you start becoming technologically, understandable, right?
It could have been worse. You do realize they could have blamed ninjas.
That's probably true. That's probably true, but I don't know if
I know that I'm saying that as a joke, but you know that there's probably at least some of them out there that did wonder.
Yeah. But the reason, the other thing that this guy did is he said, I'm going to have a rapprochement with Japan. We need closer ties with Japan. That's a major statement, right? Because it's something that's necessary, okay? But it's not something easy to do, to get over that kind of bigotry that you have, and understand that it's justifiable bigotry. You gotta understand this. The Koreans and the Japanese, well, the Koreans have a very negative view of Japan and of Japanese people as a whole. They really do. It's earned because of the occupation, okay, during World War II, but it's still their view of Japan is still ingrained in them. And to say, you know what, we need to work with the Japanese, they need to become an ally now, that's a major step forward. And it's also a recognition that there's commies everywhere, and and we can't trust big bad in the United States to be the only ones protecting us. And they're right. The United States can't do it alone. The idea that America can do it alone was always stupid, right? Especially when you got parasites like the Europeans, NATO, just putting it out there. And by the way, I do include Canada in that parasitic commentary. I try to explain to people time and time and time again, right? When they talk about what the North Koreans can do and what they can't do. Folks, the North Korean leader says a satellite development aimed at collecting info on the United States military and its vassal forces. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has visited the country's space agency. Did you know that North Korea has a space agency?
It's a horrifying thought, actually.
Right? And said that the recent development of a reconnaissance satellite is aimed at collecting information on the U.S. military in the region and its vassal forces, said Pyongyang's state media on Thursday. On Saturday, North Korea fired a ballistic missile in the second such test in less than a week that Pyongyang claimed it was developing a reconnaissance satellite. If you can put something in orbit, you can hit anywhere in the world.
Yep.
Understand this. When somebody says that they put something in orbit, like Iran, it means they have the capability of delivering a warhead anywhere in the world.
Yep.
And unlike Iran, we know North Korea has nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
All right. Back to America. Let's talk about America for a moment and culture stuff. Juicy. Yeah, Juicy Smollett. All right. Juicy Smollett gets 150 days in jail and 30 months probation over a faked 2019 attack. I'm not suicidal. I am innocent, said the Empire director as he was being led away to go to jail. Just more than 3 months after being found guilty on just more than 3 months after being found guilty on 5 felony counts, including lying to the Chicago cops over an alleged 2019 hate crime attack. Former Empire actor Juicy Smollett, all right, was sentenced to 120 days or 150 days rather in jail, all right, Thursday, starting immediately. While avoiding the state prison, the incarceration comes as a part of an overall sentence of 30 months probation and $120,000 in restitution to the Windy City and a further $25,000 fine. When the sentence was unveiled, the deputies prepared to take him to the Cook County Jail. Smollett pulled off his mask and stood up and repeatedly said, "I'm not suicidal. If anything happens to me in there, I did not do it," the actor exclaimed. Led out of the courtroom, Smollett raised a fist in the air and yelled, "I'm not suicidal. I am innocent." Dude, you are guilty as all F.
Oh, yeah.
They have video, and many people don't know this. They have video of him with the brothers. I can't think of what their names were. Right?
I know. Something weird. Can't
Nigerian
remember.
brothers.
Yep.
With him rehearsing what they were to do. Dude, you're guilty. We all know you're guilty. Your story was stupid.
Yep. Nomad, I'll be back in a sec. Neighbours knocking. Carry on without me for a sec.
The thing is there's a lot of people who have done this story and talked about this, right? And his proclamations of being innocent are just absolutely, protestations are just hilarious, right? Now, I am sure he is very upset. I have no doubt in my mind because he thought at worst he would get some kind of probation, right? And in fact, after his prison term is up, he is allowed to go anywhere in the United States. He just has to inform people while on probation, mind you. He just has to tell people that he's going to be out, flying to New York and everything else. In fact, he was recently at Harry Belafonte's 95th birthday party. Now, I don't care, okay? I aside from the fact that Harry Belafonte is just like this jackass. He's a hardcore Marxist leftist, right? Who made it, who was very rich, made it, and yet at the same time is going to decry how much how great communism is. Now the Judge Lynn, said, "You're just a charlatan pretending to be a victim of a hate crime. All right, you committed hour upon hour of pure perjury, right? Which is another problem. Why didn't you charge him for every damn freaking case of perjury that he pushed? Now, why am I pointing this out? A lot of people, like I said, have been talking about this. A lot of people have made commentary about Juicy, right? And and the jokes are going around about don't drop the soap. Hell, he probably wants to drop the soap. If you wanted me to make a joke, there, he's probably going, "Oh look, I dropped my soap." All right. All that being said, this guy got 5 months in county lockup, not pen, county. He's not going to the state penitentiary. He's not going to a federal penitentiary. Now he did a number of things that were illegal on a federal level. All right, they could have charged, the feds could have charged him and put him in jail. All right, and he'd go to a federal penitentiary rather than the Cook County jail where the son of a bitch will be treated like a celebrity. I guarantee you. He's not going to be treated like a criminal. We know what Cook County, how corrupt Cook County is. From the DA's office on down. And he's going to be in there for 5 months, supposedly. My guess is he's going to be in there for two months, and then they're going to say, time off for good behavior. We'll let you out a little early. Guaranteed. Wait 2 months from today, and we'll see whether or not on in May whether or not this bastard gets released, walks out of jail. I could be wrong. I don't think I am. But people like Omegon, who I like Omegon, right? His channel is freaking funny as hell. Right? I enjoy listening to his social commentary because that's really what he does. He does a lot of social commentary. But he thought that the prison sentence was adequate. And I disagree. You got to understand what this bastard was doing. This was all part of the BLM movement, folks. Did you forget about this? That you have BLM riots and everything going on while this son of a bitch is doing this kind of shit? Do you realize, all right, what all this was about? Is this guy wanted a race war. He wanted people dying in the streets.
I'm back.
All right? He was working with Kamala Harris, all right, to sit up there and try and push a false narrative about how evil and racist this country is so he could let the BLM people go around and do their terroristic activities. This was his goal. You're going to bitch about January 6th, and yet this son of a bitch actually was getting people killed, was actually getting police officers shot at. And you're going to stand there and go, that was a coup, that was on January 6th. It wasn't an attempted coup. It was an attempted coup. They never would have got out of the buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody was going in their center and saying, we're taking the government over. How would you have gotten back in the Capitol? Let me ask a question. If you think that this was an attempted coup, can you tell me why the Capitol building was exited? Why they left the Capitol building? Rather than squatted on it and said, no, we're never leaving. We're now in charge.
You'd think they would.
Seriously. I'm going to say something more. If that was an attempted coup on January 6th, then they would have gone in there, they'd have taken control of the building, and then when they got asked about it, said, no, we're not leaving. We're now in charge. And they said, well, what about that? They just moved over here and said, look, these people, these are your leaders, and they're cowardly. They won't even stay and argue with us. They fled like little pussies that they are. That would have been said.
Yeah.
It was never going to be a coup. All right? It was never an insurrection. It was never an insurrection, folks. But when it comes to Juicy, he wants a war. He wants a race war in this country. There's a lot of dumbasses that want a race war in this country. They really do. And they want to continue their racist, bigoted stances. This guy is a racist. This guy is a bigot. Because as a leftist, that's the home of these people. And they got to promote racism. Now, this was a high-profile case of a hoax, but the reality is as they've been talking about it, when a lot of these cases get investigated, all right, I would venture to say that either 2/3 of them that actually get solved when somebody is doing a false hoax, claiming something that isn't true. The ones that are solved. The ones that aren't solved, nobody knows. And it's hard to solve some of these because the guy comes back and says, look, there's a swastika on the ground. Unless people saw that there was a who put the swastika on the ground, it's going to be kind of hard to prove it. But all that shit that was going on at the University of Missouri a few years back, all of that was off of a hoax, off of one rabid son of a bitch, an activist, all right, who made false claim after false claim. And the claims that he made, all right, that they could sit up there and actually investigate and find who did it, he was a part of it. It was all a false flag. The other ones, well, there was a swastika made from poop in the bathroom. Now, if you're a neo-Nazi, are you going to grab and make a swastika out of your poop? No, you're proud. You're proud of being a Nazi. You're going to use a knife, a pen, or something like that. You're not going to use your freaking shit.
No.
Only a dumbass going, hey, I just dropped a hole. This will be cool. Let me do this. Is going to do something like that. That's who these fuckers are. Pardon my language. These bastards are. Want to see racism? This is racism. Oh. Von L. Cook was angry about his service at Dunkin' Donuts in Tampa last May. So the 77-year-old marched into the store, berated the manager, called him the N-word, according to the police. The manager, Corey Pujols, I'm not trying to butcher your name, right, is black, and he told Cook not to say it again. Cook did it anyway. So Pujols swung a right hook, hit Cook in the jaw, knocked the septuagenarian, I'm not going to get a proper answer this right now, unconscious, causing him to fall and hit his head on the floor, according to the arrest affidavit. 3 days later, Cook died. Pujols killed an old man because he was called the N-word. Now, let's start with some mitigating facts. All right. If you want to start a fight and you're ready to throw down, okay, understand this. You're going to go look in a guy's face and call him the N-word and not expect to get hit because you're a 77-year-old man, right? You're an idiot.
Yeah.
Okay? That's like the guy during the riots in Rochester that ran in front of the police as an old man. I'm going to stop the police line, and got shoved on the back, shoved backwards, right? And got his head hit on the ground. You think you're protected by your age? You think you're protected because you're getting in somebody's face and you're calling them the N-word? Now, should Cook, did Cook lose control and kill a person? Yes. That's which goes to something else. People forget that you as a male can kill people with your fists. Okay? It's a lot easier to kill people than you think, or have a situation where somebody dies.
Yeah.
Especially an elderly person. Let's be perfectly frank, who are quite fragile. This guy lost control in his anger and killed the man. Did he mean to do it? No. Does a guy who's drunk, though, get in a car mean to kill the family of 6 that he ran into? No. Does a guy who's drinking and driving and kill somebody, does he go to jail? Yes. Did this guy go to jail? No, he didn't. He actually got house arrest. He was convicted of manslaughter, right? But got 2 years house arrest. Now, before somebody says something, and I want people to understand this, I don't believe in prison terms necessarily for the guy who was drinking and driving and killed a family of 6. Necessarily. Okay. I think there's a time for it, all right, and it can be done that way. But I think the majority of people that drink and drive and get into an accident, all right, unless they've got a long ass record of doing the same thing, then they made a mistake. You can give them probation. You can still convict them of the crime because they did convict the crime. They did commit the crime.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to bring the person back alive, right? Cook can't bring this guy, or Corey rather, can't bring Cook back alive, right? And let's be honest, Corey was antagonized. Okay, let's be perfectly honest. He was being antagonized by an old man who thought he could get away with the bullshit that he was spewing. So I don't have a problem actually with Pujols not getting jail time. I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's assuming that he didn't have anything else on his record. Okay.
Yeah.
If he has a record of beating people, then he should have gotten jail time. But it doesn't go into any of that. But if you scream the N-word at somebody and a black person sits up there and tells you to stop it and you do it again, you have to be ready for a fight.
Yeah.
Right? If somebody, and I'll give you an example in a different manner, right? I got called a coolie once, right? By an Indian. And I warned the Indian, don't ever say that again. Right? Don't ever call me a coolie one ever again. You freaking piece of crap. Right? Because I know what coolie means. Right? And it was meant as a pejorative. And she meant it as a pejorative.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, she didn't realize that as an American, I would know anything about India. because there's this belief amongst the Europeans and every other country out there that Americans just don't know nothing about it in the rest of the world.
I'm saying nothing.
There's that belief out there. You gonna deny that, Jenson?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
And I bet you to say that they don't know anything about America, number one. And while there are some stupid Americans, they're not the majority.
No, but they are the majority that you guys let out into the rest of the world.
No, they're not. And we don't let people out. People can leave whenever they freaking like.
Well, that's your mistake.
Let them out of the world. It's like we inflicted them upon the world.
You do.
Here, have our stupidity. You guys just locate them, because most Americans, if you never noticed, honestly, do you see Americans talk like that? Honestly, you will find that the talkative American, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there'll be other Americans around, and most of them won't be saying anything.
Mm-hmm.
Most Americans aren't as chatty as I am. That's very true.
Fair.
or as belligerent for that matter.
I'm glad you said that on me. But I'm going to actually counter your argument here. You let out one American, we sent it back, and you got bitchy about it. Meghan Markle.
First of all, you didn't send her back.
No, we sent it to Canada. That shows how much we love them.
All right. And then the escapee ran across the border again.
Yeah.
Right?
Have you noticed that? It's gone from Canada down to California. I thought back in the 60s it was the other way around.
Yeah, back in the 60s, a lot of people that ran over there. I wish they would have stayed there. Freaking Jimmy Carter and a dumbass freaking. We never should have allowed the bastards back in the country.
Goddamn hippies.
There's more truth to that than you know.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Draft dodging hippies stay up there in Canada. Freaking should have left them there. Biden just put out an executive order on cryptocurrencies. Here's everything that's in it. Really. Key points. U.S. President Joe Biden has signed an executive order. That's a key point. That's a key point. Okay, he signed the order. Key point number 1. Number 2, the measure focuses on 6 key areas: consumer protection, financial stability, illicit activity, U.S. competitiveness, financial inclusion, and responsible innovation. Now, is that word salad or what?
Yeah.
That's a lot of nonsense. We're going to spend money. That's a here. We want to spend more money. We won't drill. And then it was, we also want to explore the big one, digital version of the dollar. That's what they want.
It's going to go so badly when that happens.
Okay, they want everybody using a standard cryptocurrency, because once they do that, they can track everything and anything you purchase.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, everything. From the bubble gum, when you went to the bubble gum machine, all right, all the way through when you bought a house. All of it, they'll be able to track. And they'll be able to compile that data. Anybody who keeps coming back going, oh no, they can't track Bitcoin. Oh yes, they can.
Yeah.
It's just that once it goes to certain players, like to the Russians are like, no, we're not gonna look for these people. And so unless you're sending the United States military or FBI or some other group over there to bounty hunt these people, they can get away with it. But the fact is we know where this stuff goes because the currency can be tracked.
Yeah.
And is consistently and constantly. I'm not going to do this story. That story's stupid. Is Putin coup-proof? All right. And that's combined with this story. Outside the West, Putin is less isolated than you might think. So let's go talk about from the same group. They put these papers out. What are they? Less than on the same freaking day.
Wow.
This is cognizant dissonance. All right, that's what this is. These are morons, right? As the Russian invasion in the Ukraine grinds into its 3rd week with mounting civilian casualties, more than 2 million refugees fleeing, and untold numbers of internally displaced. I'll be honest with you, for a place of 44 million people, only 2 million of which have left.
Hey, Goku.
Only 2 million of these people have left.
Mm-hmm.
You would think that they would all be fleeing, right? I'm just pointing this out, that most of these people don't feel like they're under threat, even today, right?
Well, when the glove is on the other shoe and you have oil in the Russia, that it's Biden country, man.
You know, the worst thing is that made absolutely no sense to any of us, but it's also totally suitable for your potato in chief.
How much have you had to drink, Joe?
I had 2.5 scoops of baby cream. I mean ice cream.
I love this. While no Western government is openly pursuing a policy of regime change, all of them hope that sanctions will encourage Russians of all stripes to show Putin the door, which invites the question, is a Putin coup proof? Because if there was ever a set of circumstances that might induce a change of power in Moscow, we're seeing them now. No, we're not.
Did they know how Russia has been run for the past several decades?
I love this. The story goes on. The reasons Putin went to war, all right, remain inscrutable. Okay, now he's been telling everybody why he did it. Okay, now some of it is stupid, all right, but he's telling people why he did it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not inscrutable.
Those weren't his demands, man. That was he's just trying to get 3 scoops of ice cream. And
all right, now whether or not some of them make sense to us or not is immaterial because it makes sense to them. Whatever else it might achieve, this war will make Russia poorer and less secure. All right, bring NATO closer to its borders rather than pushing it away. No, it won't. All right, and strengthen the resolve of the government throughout Moscow's former empire to seek protection from rival powers, be they the United States. Nobody is running to the European Union. Okay, let's
Save us, France.
Everyone now is looking at the European Union. All right, going, what the hell? What the hell have you been doing? Nobody is looking for protection from Europe.
Let's just point something out here that's rather important if this individual is going to be making this type of argument. How much oil, potash, however you want to call it, oil and fertilizer, nickel, other rare earth minerals. How much of that is Russia exporting to the rest of the world, and how much are you buying? Because those numbers don't add up if this argument was going to be legitimate. And if, in case anybody is wondering, this is not a legitimate argument.
And I would love to know which empires are running around seeking support and seeking protection from China.
Potash. Thank you, Chris.
Right. Does anybody see freaking anybody running to China for support?
And well, Russia basically gave the middle finger
Against
to the
the
West.
Russians. Are you gonna trust the Chinese who have all sorts of deals and just promise to buy a ton of their oil, a ton of Russian oil? Are you gonna say, hey, yeah, the ones that we're afraid of Moscow, we'll just go to their ally?
Oh, that's the thing. It's like,
this just shows you who is this guy? Who's the name of this writer?
Well, that's the thing. It's like, we're the United States and Canada and the EU. We're not going to buy Russian oil or Russian rare earth minerals. It's like, okay, we'll sell it to fucking China.
Sam, you're an absolute. They're selling it to India.
Well, that's the thing. You're not going to buy it from Russia, so this is what's going to happen. Russia's going to sell it to China, and then you're going to buy it from China.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. Well, right now, Germany's flat out said we're not going to stop buying oil and gas from them.
Well, they can't afford to.
Said that. He said, no, we're not going to stop.
Well, that's the thing. They can't afford to. Like, who are they going to buy it from? OPEC already sets prices on that standard. So, like, what are you going to go? You're going to pull a U.S. and go to Venezuela?
Well, yeah, that's another one. Yeah, the target of Venezuela was a joke as well. All right.
Oh, yeah.
You want to know why he went to Venezuela? Honestly, Doku, you want to know why he went to Venezuela?
Actually, yeah, I am curious.
Because nobody in the Middle East would sit up there and pick up the phone when he told him he was going to give him a call, including our quote-unquote ally in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I did hear about hey guys, I need some you want to talk over ice cream? No, go home.
No, it wasn't even that. It was, hi, this is Joe. Click.
Yep.
I mean, you know it's bad when even arguably your number one, what shall we say, vendor of oil, i.e., Saudi Arabia, leader of the OPEC nations, says, "Nah, deal with it yourself."
The UAE or the UEA or whatever they are, United Arab Emirates, UAE,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
They wouldn't pick up the phone. 2 years ago, they had gone out of their way to set up an agree with peace for Israel. They actually created diplomatic relations with Israel, all right, with Jerusalem as their capital. And 2 years later, they won't pick up the phone of a U.S. president.
Doku, one question for you, mate. How hard was it for you to not say the word dealer when you was talking about the Middle East? Come on, be honest.
I will not comment.
Okay. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, next time we're streaming, me and him, he'll be
No.
singing.
No, we're not.
Oh, yes, we are.
That they don't know what's going on here.
Who doesn't know what's going on?
They don't ask questions.
Anyway, let's get back to this. All right.
Oh wait, sorry.
Initiating this war, in short, seems to be part of a continuing effort on Putin's part to restate the structure of Russian politics, moving from a situation in which he serves the titans of Russian businesses, politics, and bureaucracy to one in which those elites serve him. If he's successful, instead of a large, fractious class of rich and powerful Russians who maintain at least some ties with Europe and the United States, Western leaders will be left to deal with Putin and his security men, a group over whom Washington, London, and Brussels have considerably less leverage. All right. This will be an unfettered and even more unpredictable Russia, and very likely a much more tyrannical one, as the state claims more and more control over the economy. Putin has long chafed at the being beholden to his country's elites. When he came to power in the 2000, his ability to rule, like Boris Yeltsin before him, was severely limited. He had to deal with media moguls and oligarchs, politicians and office holders. All right. Now what this guy goes on to claim is that these oligarchs, all right, are going to sit up there and kick Putin out of power. No, they're not. Okay? Number one, you are ascribing to these oligarchs a Western mentality. Okay? You're ascribing to them that they're going to act like U.S. politicians. Okay? They're Russian oligarchs. Killing of people and letting people die is not a big deal to them. Okay? They don't care. Life isn't precious.
It's kind of funny the way this guy frames it, because yeah, that's any different from modern day establishment DC. How?
It's the view of the Russians that life is precious versus not. The reality is Russians don't look at because culturally they don't look at life as being precious. Life is drudgery.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, no, my point is what this guy is saying is like, oh well, the rich and unpredictable Russia. It's so he basically said three things. One, rich people run Russia. Huh, yeah, sounds like the United States. Sing me a lullaby. Number two, more unpredictable Russia, according to who? Oh, he already told us. The US, NATO, Washington, Brussels. Oh, so you can't control Russia. Ah, so that's why you're mad. Okay, good to know. And number three, this is a threat to. Oh, you already told us that. Again, I forgot. Brussels, Washington, the United States, NATO. Oh, so Russia isn't doing what we want them to do, therefore Russia is a threat. Ah, I get what it's about now. It's because they won't bend the knee to you and suck your proverbial dick. That's why you're upset. Aha, I got it. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not necessarily a fan of Russia or Putin, and I don't agree with what they're doing. But this is a case of letting the mask slip. We see why you're upset, and it ain't about the loss of life because you motherfuckers don't care about it either. You know, if I was wrong, well, I don't know. There's 13 dead people in Afghanistan. I'm pretty sure there's a couple people who got bombed as a result of that incident who were what, children? Yeah, we don't talk about that, do we?
Look.
It's okay when we do it.
No, it's the problem. The problem that I have with that whole philosophy is, number one, our strikes are selected. Our strikes are targeted. Strikes are targeted, right? When the Russians target things, right, they don't have the kind of precision munitions that we do. Okay, they don't. And the reality is when they target something, they carpet bomb it. They go in there and blow up an area, right? They saturate an area to get the target. It's World War II. Okay, it's World War II tactic because, well, quite frankly, it's cheaper. Okay, it's cheaper to do it that way, and it is. Now,
no, that's fair.
What does that cause? Well, that causes errant freaking artillery shells to hit buildings that they weren't really trying to hit. And you know when they try to hit something because they blanket that area and they carpet bomb it, right? They do mass artillery strikes and leave it devastated. Oh, you hit a hospital. You're targeting women and children. They weren't targeting women and children. Did they miss? Yeah. They hit the wrong thing? Yeah. Welcome to war. This is what war is. People have gotten it in the West, have got this attitude that war is clean and that civilians are somehow sacrosanct. Hey, you civvy bastards. All of you civvy bastards, take note. You're not. Okay? Just to let you understand this.
All right, let's be honest about something. And I'll use the strike on, I believe, what was it, the TV broadcasting tower.
Mm-hmm.
Russia still put out a warning saying, "Hey, we're gonna blow this thing up. You should leave the area." 2 hours before they did it. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that most rational and reasonable people would hear that and say, "Oh, they're about to blow that thing up. Maybe I should be nowhere near that before it gets blown up." Just a thought.
Logic dictates that, yes.
Well, and even then, did you see that tower get hit?
Yeah, I did. I saw the video of it.
Yeah.
Did the tower come tumbling down?
No.
Actually, no, it didn't even fall down. It was
Right.
it wasn't even on fire. The tree was on fire, but I mean, they definitely took out the communications ability, but it's not the thing like went completely thermobaric nuclear bomb. Everyone's gonna die. It's like now they hit it with a missile.
They hit it with a missile in one of the floors, right? One of they had a series of floors, right? And they took out one of those floors. Did they hit the communications? No, they didn't.
Yeah,
You
no,
take
the
a look at the
communications.
top of that tower where all the dishes and everything are, okay? The top of the tower where all the microwave dishes and all that stuff is, right? They didn't hit that. Now, why is that? Because they were not aiming to kill people. They were not aiming to kill communications. What they were aiming to do is get a specific problem, i.e., Ukrainian intelligence officials, and kill them. That's why they hit it. I would put dollars to donuts that there was a Ukrainian intelligence operation being run out of there. And that's why they died, because those people believed in supporting their country, right? Believed in supporting their nation, and were standing for it.
Honestly, it was probably more like if I had to put a bet on the table, that was probably the server room or something that supported it.
Yeah. Okay. But outside the West, Putin is less isolated than you think. No shit. Do you guys even realize that most of the Latin American countries haven't obeyed the sanctions?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And the ones that have kind of give lip service to it, almost none of the Latin Americans, the South Americans, none of them were really for this. There's no African country, right, that's running around going, we must stop the evil dictator Putin. You don't see the Syrians, you don't see the Egyptians, you don't see the Saudis bitching about it. You don't see the Indians, India, right?
Yeah.
You don't see any of them. In fact, India flat out said, we're not going to condemn them, right? And then, of course, the biggest player there, China. Now, Japan condemned them, right? Give Japan credit. They defended. They did. Korea did too. South Korea. North Korea
Mhm.
didn't. North Korea didn't say a word. North Korea is like, more oil for us.
Yep.
Right? That's exactly what they were doing.
Well, let's be honest. The majority of the world that's not a staunch U.S. ally probably has the mentality of, okay, yeah, I'll shake my head and agree with what Joe Biden says, and I'll throw a cat toy 2 seconds later and he'll forget.
Mhm.
Well, most of them aren't even bothering to pick up the phone.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like we won't answer. He'll get distracted by the cat toy that's already sitting in the bed.
Can you imagine if they tried that crap? I'm not a fan of Trump. I'm saying this right now. I'm not a fan of the guy, but could you imagine they tried that with Trump? That would go so interestingly for them.
It would be a lot different.
Yeah.
But hey, we're going to go on. Meanwhile, these people are saying these oligarchs are going to, they could take Putin out. They're not going to take Putin out. Why do you think the oligarchs are getting their, let's be perfectly blunt here. The UK seized an oligarch's yacht. The Netherlands seized a yacht. I think Denmark seized one of these yachts, right? I even think that they seized a yacht in America, right, from one of these quote unquote oligarchs, right? Now, first of all, we all know that these guys seizing these yachts. That what are you going to do with the yacht? Are you going to permanently seize it? No. You're going to give it back to them in a couple of years.
Yep.
Right? And then they're going to come back and go, you gave it back to me in worse condition. So he's going to sue them. And let's be honest, they'll pay.
Mm-hmm.
All right? They're not going to say, no, this was seized and now ours to go sell to somebody else. They're not going to do that. Right?
Of course they did. Though actually, I say that it'd be really cool if what you do is you load it up with explosion, you ram it into one of their ports.
No wishful
that's just me.
thinking. No wishful thinking here, Jenson.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, you seized my multi-million-dollar yacht. Whatever shall I do while I sit in my multi-million-dollar mansion and eat my $1,000 caviar with my $100 steak? Oh no!
Yeah. So, So you see what's happening with that, and so the other thing is you think they're going to be mad at Putin for this? No, they're not going to be mad at Putin for this. They're going to be mad at you guys in the West.
Yep.
That's going to make them more happy with Putin than it's going to make them upset with him. Why? You keep going back with this philosophy that they think like you do. They don't think like you do. And what's more is how many of them want to step in and be leaders of the country? Let's be perfectly frank. After the way you're treating them now, do you think that they're going to go, oh, no, that makes me want them to become the leader of the country because then I'll be treated better by the U.S.? Are you freaking kidding me?
No, Matt, I'll translate this into stupid for you because I'm sure there's some people who don't get it. Oh no, the guy that made me billions and billions of dollars has started international conflict, and the people that don't like that international conflict have seized my $1 million yacht, and now I'm going to overthrow the guy that made me billions of dollars so that the people that seized my $1 million yacht will be happy with me.
They really believe that dumb shit.
It's stupid. It's like, wait, do you think this is going to get... I brought this up on Shogun's 10. CD Projekt Red, they're the game company behind the Witcher series and also Cyberpunk. They made a statement about how, well, we don't want to be political, but we know that we can galvanize the hearts of people if we stand together, and therefore we're not going to sell digital copies to people or to our games to people in Belarus and Russia. And we know that it's not your fault, but we're still going to not sell you our games anyways. Like, do you realize that's just going to make them mad at you, right?
Yep.
Well, that's even stupider, quite frankly, because you would be taking money away from them. You'd be taking money out of their economy. Let them buy your shit. Let them buy it. Just don't buy their shit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the thing. It's like with Twitch and OnlyFans and all these other whatever you want to say about the ethos and everything. You're banning people who have absolutely nothing to do with Russia's military decisions, but you're banning them off your platforms. Like, these are the actual people, like actual citizens. Like, you're gonna punish the girl that's just wagging her tits around in a bra in front of a camera for money, and you're gonna punish her and expect her to go, "Oh no, Twitch took away my ability to make money for wagging my tits in front of a camera. I'm gonna go overthrow Putin." Do you really think that this is gonna work out in your favor?
It's like they got cognizant dissonance. And I'm not supporting Putin in this. I think what Putin's doing is freaking horrendous. But at the same time, I'm not walking around going that Zelensky is Mother Teresa. He's not.
No.
And I'll tell you right now, Putin is not losing support in Russia. Okay, he's not. You're blowing these freaking protests out of proportion. All right, Putin is obviously not really threatened by it. You want to know how I say that? Because he hasn't told the troops to just flat out kill them all.
Yep.
And he is one of those people who would. If he thought it was serious and it needed to be put down, he would do it in the most ruthless manner possible. He's not taking those protests seriously. Now, could it grow? Sure, it could. Will it? I doubt it. Because you're looking at the idea from a Western philosophy, and they don't have a Western philosophy.
Well, these people who are talking seem to think that everything internationally runs in their same sort of sphere of mindset or influence, and it's like, no, that's just you guys. That's not the real world. That's not how that works. You can think it works that way, and when it doesn't go your way, I expect at least 20 hit pieces of you bitching about it. But guess what? Normal people, much like the rest of the world, don't care. And you're going to learn very quickly that people don't care just because things didn't go the way you want them to. That's a personal problem. Enjoy.
Exactly. Iran nuclear talks close to collapse. I love this. Iran nuclear talks close to collapse over Russia's demands. Right? With its economy teetering. Now, can you tell me why people believe that the Russian economy is teetering?
Propaganda.
You know, it's
Do
funny
see
you brought that
people
up.
in bread lines? Not that you would know the difference from their normal life. But is anybody showing any kind of real hardship that the people of Russia are suffering because of this invasion right now?
Well, Nomad, it's actually a good thing you brought that up because Chris in the chat just said, Jason Goodman interviewed an American-Russian citizen. He said the ruble has crashed internationally, but locally nothing has changed. Gas was about $1.50 per gallon. So apparently not. I mean, this is coming. I don't know what interview he's talking about or who was interviewed, but he would likely know more than me. And if gas is $1.50, no, they're doing better than us.
Sorry, I'm not a driver, but I happen to know that £1.50. Well, I know it's $1.50, but £1.50 per gallon. It costs £1.50 per litre over here.
Well,
I
per
think it's more
gallon.
than that. I think isn't it for euros? It's like €2 per gallon per liter.
About that, yeah.
It should be what, about like $5.50, $5.60 US?
Give or take, yeah.
I mean, here where I live, I mean, I don't know what it was today, but yesterday morning it was $4.25 a gallon.
Oh, yeah, today I guarantee it's around 435 or 440. It's every day it's going up. I've been watching it. It's gotten way out of control.
I mean, as much as I hate to admit it, it's making me money because Jensen, you know what I said way back in the beginning. And I said oil was going to go up and inflation was going to go up. And in the words of Razor Fist, fuck you, I was right.
I think that one was easy to call. I think I told you that too.
Yeah, no, we talked about it. And again, I made the smart move. I bought a bunch of oil and gas companies. And I'm
Iran nuclear talks are close to collapse. All right, let's talk about the Russians here. The Iran nuclear talks are on the precipice of collapse over last-minute Russian demands for sanction protection, according to two diplomats. Really? You trusted the Russians to make a deal with the Iranians for us, Biden. At the same time, you're declaring the Putin and his group persona non grata. You are using them to make a deal with the Iranians. Now, what person in their right freaking mind thinks that this is a good idea?
But, like, I gave you $1 billion, man. Come on.
All right. The negotiations have reached an impasse over the Russian request, diplomats said, of imperiling the revival of the 2015 landmark deal under which Iran limited its nuclear ambitions in exchange for sanctions relief. They didn't limit their nuclear ambitions. All right, Iran was a deal that said we're going to encourage the nuclear ambitions.
God, I need a fucking drink.
Russia is requesting that any return to the agreement includes guarantees that any future Russian businesses with Iran will be exempt from EU and U.S. sanctions. A late curveball, really.
Like Iran gives a shit.
But negotiators from other world powers, including the UK, the US, France, Germany, all right, as well as China, all right, can't find a way to accommodate the demands, diplomats said, because it's all a bunch of smoke and mirrors, folks.
I just done the calculations for British costs and whatnot. For 1 gallon, it will cost us £6.67, which means to you guys that's around $7.50 to $8.
Oh, so
per gallon.
San Francisco.
Exactly.
Per gallon.
Yeah, that's actually about roughly what it would be in San Francisco, LA, and San Diego.
It's close to $8 in San Francisco right now.
Ouch.
Oh, so San Francisco's more expensive.
Oh, this one's brilliant. Don't check this. Check this.
All right. Final story of the day, folks. Final one I'm going to get into. The King Kong monkey snatches a helpless seagull. Seagulls are rats with wings, folks. They're not helpless. They're shit machines. All right. What's that movie Nemo? That movie Nemo played freaking seagulls exactly right. Mine? These things are squawking freaking hell.
Squawking shit machines.
Right?
That's the new designation of the seagull shall forever be the squawking shit machine.
It's what they are.
They are.
Right?
It's not wrong.
A King Kong monkey snatches a helpless seagull out of the sky and bashes it to death on a pole. What'd you expect it to do? Give it a kiss? Right?
That's dinner.
All right. Warning: distressing content. All right.
Before you do, when you listen to it, listen to the child's voice near the end. It's amazing.
I don't know if I've got the video. Whether I'm going to play the video or not. Right, because this is not the video. Maybe let's see if we can refresh this if we can find it. There we go. Now it's loading.
Okay.
I am so curious.
Right.
Volume if you can. Yeah.
Well, you guys will be able to hear it, but unfortunately, now stop here. Normally, I laugh at these things. All right, this is a true warning. Because if you can't handle this, I know there's too many people out there that are a little too friendly. Look, this warning is serious.
Damn. What is the monkey looking at in its hand?
It's his feathers when it pulled it out of its head.
Oh, good lord.
While it was still alive.
Oh, wow.
Did you hear that kid there? Don't forget, send that to Nanny.
Oh.
Children are evil.
Last time you sit up there and take my banana, you frickin' piece of frickin' shit machine. Last time you shit on me, didn't think I'd come after you. Thought I was like the other hairless apes, huh? Not this time, pal. Not this time.
I mean, like, that seagull had to have done something, or had to have done something for that monkey to climb up on that pole and grab one of those flying sons of bitches. Because, like, that doesn't just happen out of the clear blue. Like, something had to have preceded this incident. Like,
But it was beautiful to watch.
What the hell? A young child could be heard to say it in shock. The monkey even appears to lick blood off its fingers as an outstretched bird becomes limp following the fatal battery. Beck said that the zoo animal then dropped the seagull, climbed down, and ate the carcass. Yes! So you see, monkeys are omnivores. People don't know this. All right? They see the monkey eating the fruit and things like that. They'll eat meat if they get the opportunity, like this one did.
and again, animal and wild killing other animal for meat in terms of...
It's not really in the wild, per se.
Yeah, it's close enough. I mean, let's be blunt here. The entire world at this point in time might as well be considered wild. We live in fucking clown world. But
honk, honk.
Yeah, but we're not allowed to say that, Jenson. You can't say that.
Oh, yeah. Rubbish.
This is nature. This is nature at its
purest.
At its normal.
Yep.
At its purest, you could say. I mean, but it's normal. This is normal. This is what nature is. This is how nature actually acts. I know people are like, "Holy crap! Well, the monkey is doing this," and look, people forget that most monkeys, pound for pound, all right, are stronger than a man.
Oh God, yeah.
Right, by a long distance. Okay, and of course, ones that are about our size can literally rip you in half. Okay?
Mm-hmm. But Nomad, you just don't realize that the monkey, if it had just love and care, it would have known that it could just eat the tofu and the dandelion sprouts, and it didn't have to kill the pretty bird. And this is all unnecessary.
Sean's got it right. Sean's got it right. We need to get 435 monkeys in a stadium and take a picture to send it to Congress and label it Congress of Monkeys.
Actually, I think that is highly unfair. The monkeys are far more intelligent than most of the idiots you got in charge of Congress.
At least the monkey knows how to fucking kill and eat and feed itself.
Yeah, I mean, you should see what chimps do to monkeys. Yes, chimps will go after any monkey it gets its hands on. Now, It's interesting to see chimpanzees and baboons.
Oh, don't fuck with baboons.
Baboons are like the vampire monkeys.
Yeah, no, baboons are not a fucking joke. Like, you think chimps are bad? Like, gorillas can be rather nurturing. Monkeys are assholes. Chimpanzees are bigger assholes but stronger. Baboons, no, don't fuck with baboons, dude. Those things are fucking
have fangs.
evil.
Okay. The thing is baboons have fangs, and they have fangs for a reason, because they're walking around on the ground most of the time, right? Out there in the savannah, and they're playing tag. They're literally out there playing tag with leopards and lions, all right, and hyenas. Okay.
Well, let's be honest. If you're a creature that is walking around in an area that is filled with all the fucking deadly things like you might expect,
crocodiles,
lions, and you're walking around with a big shiny fucking red ass and a bright blue face, you're not doing it just for show. You're doing it like, try me, bitch. Hey, yeah, that ass might look nice and pretty until it turns around. You fucking see them pull the lips back. You see those big fucking fangs they have. It's like, yeah, they're there for a reason.
They got fangs, and I mean, it's amazing how big those fangs are for the size of that ape. And
guys, they can't be that dangerous. They're not in Australia. Everyone knows Australia is a scary place.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. If you drop the baboons in Australia, that is game over.
Yeah, because the baboons would be eaten by the emus, and that's the disturbing thing.
No, I guarantee you the emus would not be eating the baboons. All right. Although it would be kind of an interesting thing to take a troop of baboons and actually drop them in Australia just to see what would happen.
Are you joking? Do you really want them mutating?
No, I would love to see because it's going to create a warfare between them and the freaking kangaroos. Them and the roos will be going at it for a long time. The thing is baboons are dangerous, all right, and of course people are stupid, right? Every few years you read about some dumbass freaking tourist out there in the savannah out there seeing a troop of baboons, and they get out of the vehicle to start with to go out there and get a good picture with them.
Yeah.
And then wonder why they're a statistic, right? It's like, look, and especially if you take it at the wrong time, because if they perceive a threat to the troop, it's like gang warfare with creatures that have fangs the size of my index finger. Right? That's what you're dealing with.
It's called a troop for a reason. The chimps, they might throw rocks at you and stuff. No, the baboon will frickin' leap onto your frickin' chest and rip your throat out.
You would end the threat of drop bears. Then the koalas would be gone.
Oh no, we didn't know the drop baboons. Imagine how terrifying that would be.
Oh, please do not make that suggestion ever again. That's horrific as a concept.
Swinging by my tail.
Dodge would believe in it, and you know that, don't you?
Swinging by my tail, baring my lips, waiting for my fangs.
Can you imagine a troop of baboons taken to the trees and sit up there plotting revenge to drop on you from the sky?
Oh yeah, that sounds like the spiky end of a warhammer going right into the back of my skull. Which is basically what it would be.
Yeah.
That's a way to clear out where those human cannibals drop a wooden crate in the cannibals. I'm going to see what they I don't know. That would be interesting. Because I think what you were talking about mutations now, right? Right, Jenson?
Oh yeah.
Hybrid human baboons. Let's see how that works.
Do not even make that joke. Could you imagine how terrifying that would be?
Well, they'll be off the coast of India. I'm not worried.
Until they make their own boats and go Viking on our ass.
go shopping.
Something, yeah.
A baboon, a fucking can opener, and a bag of bath salts walk into a bar.
Oh dear. That's not going to go well for anyone else in the bar.
Wait, shit, why the hell would we be funding biolabs? We just need some bath salts and some baboons. Game over.
What do you think they've been mixing? I mean,
most of their pitchforks. The only problem with baboons in Australia is the fact I don't know if they could get enough to eat, right? Because those plains are not. Like the outback and everything. That's desert, dude.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they've got plenty of humans.
Live in the Sahara.
They've got plenty of humans down there. It'll be fine.
The problem they've got, you see, is don't get me wrong, they are very, very dangerous, and they would fuck up everything they met. And then nighttime would come, and the insects would turn up, and suddenly those baboons are dead.
There is that aspect of it. A couple spiders later, a few snakes, and then.
I mean, all right. The spiders are only merely plate-sized. One of them bites your ankle. That's it. It's not like the baboons are going to go and get anti-venom now, is it?
No, well, that's very true.
Actually, Nomad brings up something that's far more terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Put the baboons in the outback and give it a couple thousand years. Imagine the type of snakes that would evolve out of that level of Darwinism.
No, just no. Stop it.
Dude, I'll be honest with you. What I would like to do is go into those areas where they got all those bones from those terror birds. I'd like to see a terror bird recreated. I really would. I would really like them to clone a terror bird, all right, and have a few of those roaming around. That would be awesome.
Well, Nomad, I don't know if you played the original Resident Evil, but I'm pretty sure Jenson
Yawn.
has. Yeah, exactly.
That's what
This is
I'm
how
saying.
you
Yawn.
do it with Yawn. You've got the baboon fangs. It's big enough. Like, yeah, this is how you get that. And you don't even have to use genetic manipulation. It's just good old fashioned Darwinism by the grace of God. By the way, God help you.
Jesus. It is what it is. Well, guys, unfortunately, that's all I got for right now. So we'll have to end this.
All right. Thank you very much for popping out, and thank you for coming in, Doku. Hey, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Don't forget, Doku will be singing sea shanties on the next time.
I don't know
Bye-bye,
what you're talking
everyone.
about. Flying